The KFC restaurant, or Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant, is modeled after images and drawings found on the internet, using the 3D construction software, Fusion 360. The model is typical for the 70s, where this type of building could be found all over the United States, feeding a lot of hungry chicken lovers. And it is still in business today, but in more modern buildings. The inspiration for me to create this model came from one of the great modelers in the international Z-scale community, Mr. Robert Ray. He makes a lot of outstanding models for this tiny scale, and I wanted to give it a try. The model I have created is used to 3D print the model in scale 1 to 220, Z scale. The 3D model is modeled in full size, so it easily can be printed in other scales, like HO, 1 to 87, or N scale, 1 to 160. I am using the slicer program, Lychee Slicer, to prepare the 3D model for the resin printer. To print the model, I use a cheap Anycubic Mono 3D resin printer. The 3D model is divided into many small parts, so it should be more easy to paint and assemble the KFC restaurant model. The rotating bucket is driven by a motor and a gear mechanism, running at a very low speed. There was a problem to solve, that the bucket should rotate, but the LED inside the bucket should stand still and not rotate. The solution was to use 3 different tubes. The tube holding the bucket is constructed using 3 different tubes, mounted inside each other, a 1mm tube, a 1.5mm tube, and a 2mm tube. The 1mm tube hold the wires for the LED, and the LED inside the bucket. The 1.5mm tube holds the bucket and is connected to the motor with 2 pieces of 10mm spears. The 2mm tube holds everything in place. The lights are created using addressable light-emitting diodes, or LEDs. To simulate a bad light tube, one of the LEDs are randomly flashing, creating the illusion of a faulty tube. The color inside the shop can also be changed, because it's a RGB LED mounted inside the shop. To control the motor and the LEDs, I use a very small microcontroller from DigiSpark, and a tiny 85. It's smaller, and much cheaper than the more expensive Arduino Uno or Nano microcontroller I normally prefer to use. But the Otni 85 has only 5 input and output pins, so there are a limitation to use the Otni 85 if your project need more pins on the microcontroller. But for this model, I use 1 pin to control the addressable LEDs, 1 pin to control the motor speed, and 1 pin for the speed potentiometer, and 2 pins for the 2 switches used to turn on the light and the motor. Using the visualization tools in Fusion 360, it's easy to create exploded views and other animations of the model. And fine images and drawings, of course. And for personal and educational use, the software are free of charge to use. Check out and find more information about the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant model, or some of my other models, on my homepage. zitiedge.com. Thank you for watching.